Okay, it is 4 o'clock. Welcome to everybody that's in here to the Indian River County Hospital District monthly meeting. We're going to go right through here. We welcome Rabbi Bernholz here again. Welcome back.
And as you say, welcome back. It is powerful to stand here in this moment. This is actually it is my last blessing that I get to do, or invocation that I get to do as the rabbi at Temple Beth Shalom, as I'll be departing at the end of the month. So you all did not realize that when you extended the invitation, but this is closing out my 22 years here, serving that congregation, but also taking care of this community. And so hence I also have no coat or tie because, alas, I've been packing. And so many of my things are disappearing rapidly into boxes and storage units and all sorts of different things. However, that also creates something really powerful to offer here at the beginning of this meeting. So during a Passover Seder, there is a ritual of breaking the middle piece of matzah. So the ritual that you do on Passover is you're telling the story of the exodus of the people of Israel from slavery in Egypt as you take a piece of matzah and you break it in half. And that breaking is a reminder of the brokenness of the world, that there are people that are in need, that there are people that are in pain, and that you are supposed to take one of those sides of that matzah and offer it to someone in need. And it's reminding us of how that brokenness is in the world. The other half is quite interesting because what it is it's a call to the next generation of people. It becomes the afikomen, or the dessert, because the ancient rabbis 2,000 years ago, as they were creating this, knew that people couldn't pay attention all the time. And that one of the things that they did, as incredible teachers they were, is they put games and magic tricks into the midst of the Seder. And so they would take the afikomen. If I was really good, I'd have a piece of matzah here for you. And you hide it until the end of the meal, a couple of hours later, and you tell the kids that they have to stay at the table, they have to participate, and they have to watch carefully, because only then will they find the afikomen, the dessert, matzah as a dessert. But of course, they then turn it in and get a prize, an incredible reward and prize. And so this afikomen is so powerful because on one hand, it's a reminder, a connection to brokenness and taking care of people. Another, it's a way of how do we pay attention to all of those little details as we go through this giant process, and how do we keep our eye and focus on the values and what is really important. Now, I shared that with you because not that it's Passover, and not that you're about to eat a meal, but because I today, in cleaning out my office, found the last piece of afikomen. Tied in, it was on the last shelf I looked in. I found a plastic container. I'm like, what's in here? And at some point, I had taken foam core, cut it into a jigsaw puzzle, and created an afikomen puzzle to hide, so that the kids at the Seder would find each piece, put it together, and what did they do? Take that brokenness and put it together into a whole that is more than the sum of its parts. As I stand here today, for all of the 22 years that I have been here and offering these moments of blessing, each of us has that opportunity, not only to keep our attention on what is important, not only to be on the lookout for all of those little pieces, but all of us has the capacity, like that puzzle, like that afikomen, to play our part, to do our part and be part of that search, to find the little puzzle piece that is ours to contribute, whether it is something that we remember from the past that has been lost on the back of a shelf for 10, 20-something years, or it's a new idea that pops up from an unexpected space that you would never realize. And it's our job to not only look for those sparks of holiness, to gather those pieces of brokenness, but then as I look out at this hospital board, how do all of you, as you are taking care of Indian River County, how do each of you work together? It's not just putting the parts together, but it's finding all of the parts, each of you as unique as your fingerprint, to work together to bring your unique energy and to create what you do in this work, the work you do, but also with the community here to build that into something that is truly shalom, something that is whole, full of harmony, and full of peace. As I say, amen, and thank you for the opportunity to teach and to call this meeting together with those words of focus. Amen.
Thank you. Your message is always very pertinent, so we appreciate it.
God bless you, and whatever comes next for you, sir.
That's right. Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I hear a motion for the approval of the fiscal year 24-25 funding request presentation meeting minutes dated May 2nd, the chairman's meeting minutes dated May 22nd, the regular monthly meeting minutes dated May 21st, and an April disbursement of
$1,301,759.05.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you. I don't really have a message except to react to Rabbi Bernholtz's message there, that working together, there's very powerful in what it is that we can do. And listening to each other. Sometimes we don't agree, and sometimes we need to listen to those that don't agree even more. So thank you for this group. Jennifer.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. As always, we've responded to questions from each of you this month that have arisen pertaining to various matters the district is handling at the present time. We continue to review the annual deadlines and deliverables due to the district under the lease with Indian River Cleveland Clinic and have responded with questions as those arise. As we started to mention yesterday, under the leadership of Trustee Karen Deagle, the district has been looking at properties that could be used as a potential detox and sober living facility for the community. After one property located in the city of Vero Beach was ruled out over some zoning restrictions, the district has continued its focus, had continued its focus on the properties owned by the Children's Home Society. Unfortunately, due to a lack of response to our offer and non-traditional negotiating tactics, we had to withdraw that offer. The committee will continue to search for the right property, and I know some of the district staff were searching even as of today, and bring this back before the board when there's more to discuss for your review and consideration. We're also continuing to monitor this past state legislative session, House Bill 7013. Just wanted to bring this up again because it does go into effect July 1st, which is almost now upon us. The new law will affect the district in a couple of ways. It limits a member's service on an independent special district to no more than 12 consecutive years. Additionally, the boundaries of an independent special district may be changed only by general law or special act. And third, beginning October 1st, each special district must establish goals and objectives for each of its programs and activities, and by December 1st of each succeeding year must publish an annual report on its website, discussing the items I have listed there in my report, the goals and objectives achieved by the district, and performance measures and standards used to make this determination of the goals and objectives the district did not achieve. We're well on our way with this under Frank's leadership with the district staff, so I have no doubt we'll meet all of our requirements there. The district is still in negotiations, as we also started to discuss yesterday, regarding the Human Services Building and considering a lease with VCOM, which was discussed a bit yesterday and will now begin to be negotiated, assuming that the board approves tonight the resolution before you, which is Resolution 2024-02, which is an agenda item later for further discussion. Of course, we are also still open to speaking with Cleveland Clinic on potential uses of the 82nd Street parcel and how we may be able to work together with regard to both of these parcels, possibly. Any questions anybody has for me?
No questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the financial review. Michael?
At 8 months into the fiscal year, I am pleased to be able to report Hospital District's financial condition continues to be very good. For an overview of our finances, let's turn, as we've done the last couple of months, to the last 4 pages of your financial report section in the packet that you received. I will note that in your packet, you actually will see included 2 year-to-date expenses versus budget reports, just to explain. I completed the first one when I received the May financials from staff, and it actually ties perfectly to the financials that are included in your packet. However, Kate discovered that there had been a double entry of the LIP payments for TTCH and Whole Family Health in those financials. And knowing that, I corrected those two entries on my report and resubmitted it. So the last 4 pages include what are actually the correct expense data, along with Mr. Isley's investment and cash report. Let's start with the very last page of the financial report, which is the investment and cash report. And you see at the top, it shows that at the end of May, the district has received $11,633,783, which is 99.6% of our budgeted tax revenue. As a point of comparison, last year at this point, we had only received 97.9, and although in the last 3 or 4 months of this report, we've been tracking a little behind last year's tax revenue receipts, we more than caught up in May, so there's just a very little amount that's still to come our way in the last quarter, or the last third of the year. Section 1 of this report shows you our U.S. treasuries totaling $7,990,173. It also shows how those are laddered to mature monthly through November, and the average interest that we're receiving there is noted at 4.93%. Section 2 shows that we additionally have $7,322,400 in the Florida Fixed Income Trust, it's a money market account, and that continues to earn us 5.27% interest. And lastly, Section 3 shows the status of our local operating accounts, which are holding, we're holding $1,339,945 at the end of May. All that totals, as you see at the bottom of the page, to holdings of $16,652,518. Now, if you go back 3 pages, we'll get to the first page of the accurate year-to-date versus budget report. This page begins the detail of program expenses through May, and at the 8th month point, an even monthly expenditure of the budget would have expenses somewhere around the 66.7%. So you can scan down through the field of programs and see where individual programs and agencies stand at this time, and as usual, some are behind, some are ahead, and a few are spot on. If you turn actually to the 3rd page, the last page of this report, you'll see that the totals for all program expenses through May tallied at 64% of the program budget. And then the bottom half of that last page shows our administrative expenses. Again, several are high, a couple are even over budget, but we have talked about those in the last 2 or 3 months in my monthly report. But you will see the total admin expenses through the end of May, $948,995, which is at 80.8% of the budget. But combined in the budget, admin and program expenses together total $11,370,513 and are at the 65.1. So we're by and large, you know, it's tracking pretty well. At a point of comparison, I always add that last line on that page. At the end of May last fiscal year, our total expenses combined were at 58%. Madam Chair, that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions, if I can, from any of the trustees.
Any questions from anyone? It's good to see that we're tracking. So that's good. Okay. We will move into the Executive Director report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few updates in addition to what I discussed yesterday. On the search for women's sober living, I just did want to add to that we have some potential properties Jennifer and I looked at today for potentials that we'll be exploring further just to make sure we're in line with zoning, and they would be something that would be a great fit for us in terms of what we look to do with the property and building out a very important program. Our Beyond SNAP, we wanted to give an update on this 6-month pilot, and so we've got some data from Caitlin, if you would, please.
Yes, so the program continues to grow. We had 90 families and 230 individuals, compared to only 60 families and 118 individuals. So we're almost doubling our numbers pretty much. So we're having a lot more people, and then it's 203 items were dispersed to the 230 families. And then we still have 2 more months left in the pilot program, so, yeah, any questions about it?
We didn't stretch that to the end of the fiscal year?
No, so actually, what we're having Wendy do is gonna be submit a written request to extend it, so we're gonna work on getting that in, so.
Makes sense.
I would be interested, I guess, to follow up with, because in order to be able to get the products, they have to go through their crisis center to do that.
Yes.
And I'd just be interested in if there's additional benefits from having to go through the crisis center, that they find out other issues in that. So I'd just be
An
interested.
opportunity.
Yeah.
How many unduplicated, do you know?
Well, I believe like the families would all be unduplicated, but I'd have to see. I don't believe they're trying to give anyone more than one, not one item, but one visit kind of a month, or at least.
Is it increasing month to month, the number of families?
Yep, yeah, last month we only had 60 families, and then this month was 90.
90, okay,
So,
thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. So I just, again, thank you for that. And even though we presented it yesterday, just wanted to say that we have we are working on finalizing the last few elements of our performance dashboard, which Caitlin presented yesterday and has done a fantastic job at building it. This is going to be posted online, and I really think it's going to help us glean some information, more information about the county and the community of where needs need to be met, looking at and observing trends and understanding the why behind these trends and developing solutions to address some of the trends that are not positive. So more to come on that.
That'll be accessed through the website.
Correct. So it'll be right. So it's going to be, how are you going to set it up? Caitlin?
we're able to just embed it directly into the website, so you can go through, you won't have to use an external link.
Oh, okay.
But it'll be interactive for folks, right? So
Yes.
they'll be able to do exactly
It'll
what
be
we're
pretty
doing
much
yesterday.
exactly the same as what I
Okay.
presented, just on the website.
Okay.
And the last item I just wanted to mention is my meetings continue. I had reported a few months ago that I was going to start meeting with Dr. Rothman on a regular basis to be available to answer questions that we had that come from these meetings, and just different questions in the community. He's really worked to make himself available and answer any questions I have. He's been very accessible and has been very helpful. And one of the things I did want to report, that they're hiring a maternal fetal medicine specialist with expertise in high-risk pregnancy to provide comprehensive prenatal care, which is a pretty big win for our community. They are not easy to come by.
And we have not had one ever.
Indeed. So I'm going to stop there, see if anyone has any questions.
I have a question that's sort of related to the dashboard. I just went back and pulled Jennifer's report, and she noted that one of the requirements that we've got beginning this October 1, each special district must establish goals and objectives for each of its programs and activities. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I mean, we could look at programs that we fund. That's a lot of, I would hope it's not necessarily that, and more in line with what our strategic plan and goals are. And
That's correct.
okay, and that's going to all be embedded too, I imagine?
Correct. But I want to be clear that we will be sure that if any further clarifications, we're not just going to assume that we're good. We are going to make sure, this team makes sure, and we verify that we are in line exactly what the expectations are with the state. We even named it Performance Measures and Health Outcomes Dashboard because that was the recommendation. So, but those are they will be directly tied into our overall strategic goals. But we're going to verify just to make sure we're completely on point for all of that, what the expectations are.
So we've got 4 months, basically, to tie that down.
And we will.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Frank. Appreciate that. We will move into our funded agencies, and we'll child care resources.
Hello, everyone. I had Jennifer pass out. We have a new pamphlet that we're using for our families. It just kind of shares information that we share with them of what we're able to do to support our families in terms of therapeutic assistance and that kind of thing. So we wanted to share that with you. I know that you had questions for us in terms of that you were putting forth to us for us to respond to in terms of what we've learned over the past few months. And I think, we are so fortunate to have begun our wellness program in general, but adding in that mental health and behavioral piece has been really such a deep undertaking for us, and it's allowed us to be able to serve our families so well. And I think what we, as we've looked at the program and, we saw all of our roles as they were, and then adding those pieces in, we see such an importance in terms of how those two therapists can work with our case manager, because our case manager is out there serving our families and really is able to pull a lot of things together, because we're there treating those children in terms of mental health and behavioral things, but also bringing in the families to support that and make that really a well-rounded, what can we do at home, what can we do at school. So that's really been an important part because we see our families with such intense issues sometimes. So having that case manager to provide that extra support and be that resource person for them, really we see such a great collaboration in that piece. So that was something that I think we thought would happen, but it's been really great to see it happen, because it just, as we are working together in developing this program and looking at things, we really are seeing how we, I guess in hindsight, we're able to put some pretty good Band-Aids on things, whereas now we're really able to start looking at root cause and seeing, why does the family keep experiencing this issue? What is happening at home? What do we need to do to support them? So I think in having different disciplines in this program and adding those pieces has really been something that, while we knew it was going to be impactful, it's really been something that we really are kind of amazed at.
Tracy, are you
Yeah.
tied into other mental health agencies in that too, so that if a parent or whatever really needs more than what you can do, I mean, you can get them?
Yes. So we collaborate with Mental Health Association a lot, most especially with support for our adults, the parents in the family or other children within the family. And that's such a great collaboration, and they have so many new, exciting things happening. I think what we continue to see is that there's just such a need, even what we've been able to do in serving our families. It's just, I think that's one thing that really surprises us constantly, is that it's really, when will it be enough that's out there in terms of capacity? So yes, we do have that support for our families. One thing that we are focusing more currently is bringing our families in more for a lot of face-to-face time. So while our therapist is seeing your child at school, it's great because that service is being provided, but bringing in that parent involvement, again, so we can really get down to root cause and see what we can do to help the family in general and really fix things versus just kind of providing that constant support.
Tracy?
Yes.
You say on your campus, your physical, occupational, and speech therapy, who do you guys utilize?
So we will use anyone. They are contractors for us. We have 3 providers who are just independent providers. We use All Aboard Therapy. We've used A+ Therapy in the past, but I think that's kind of changed a little bit. We have met with Blossom and Bloom to come in and do, she's an occupational therapist, and I think she's gonna bring on a speech component as well. So those particular providers have been very proactive with our families and wanting to be involved. And since I've been there, they've all been providing services for us.
Do you bill for that, for those services?
Those services are billed through the therapist. They manage that through Medicaid, yes. Most of our families have Medicaid. All Aboard does take private insurance, but most of our families.
Does All Aboard do Medicaid as well?
Pardon me?
Does All Aboard do Medicaid as well?
They do.
Awesome.
Yes, yes. So, and that's been such a great community collaboration as well, really working with our families and helping get into the team conference and communicating with parents and everything. It's really, it's been a good system.
You work with the school system as well?
We do refer,
We
yes.
offer-
What we like to do,
So do any of your children have therapy through the school as well?
we have done that, and some do. We do occasionally have a child who will go to the school district for their services. What we mostly do and what works really well is making sure that in that later in the 3s, right into the 4s, making sure that we're getting any assessment done with the school district so that when they slide into school, everything is in place if they qualify.
Remind me again of what the age is.
6 weeks to 5 years to VPK.
It's good to hear the school district participates. I mean, these aren't K yet. So that's nice.
Yes.
The question I had is something I should know, and I'm sorry, I just don't. The good report, you reference the therapist and the coach as the 2 key staff. It might be the only staff, I'm not sure. My question is, what is the district, when you came to us last time, what are we paying for?
So you fund our department, minus our case manager. Yes, so, and it's been great because you guys have really grown us to where we are. I mean, it started with just me, and now we have a staff of 6. So, yeah, I'm a nurse. We have a case manager, we have a mental health therapist, the behavioral coach and everything.
Rather disturbing with the challenges, having continued increase in acute crisis situations like evictions, domestic violence, so you're really seeing an increase.
Yeah, it just really, I would say it hasn't stopped. I mean, it's pretty consistent.
Do you see it more, do you think, because you have a department and you're more aware of it, and that maybe, or is it something else going on?
I think we're more apt to be able to serve them more holistically and really address the issues. But we definitely see more of it. 5 years ago, or pre-COVID, it's just easier. I don't know when COVID started anymore. But pre-COVID, I personally at the school, we would get 1, maybe 2 visits from the Department of Children and Families. I'm on a first name basis with multiple caseworkers now. I typically get anywhere from 2 to 5 cases a month for abuse, neglect. So there's still an uptick. And it's been interesting because we've been trying to track any trends, and we have specific sort of age groups of children who seem to be affected the most, and those are our current 3-year-olds and our 1-year-olds. So it's almost like the beginning of COVID and then the end of COVID. But those are the families and the children that we're seeing the most profound therapeutic issues with and biggest challenges. I'm not sure why, but it would be interesting to do.
I'm gonna make a statement that is really gonna be a softball question, maybe even a statement of the obvious, because I've been involved with you a little bit recently, and from what I've learned, this is an area with great need insofar as it's unexplored in terms of the ability to address a lot of problems with early intervention that has so much cost-saving potential, because when the kids show up kindergarten ready, without the extra baggage in the family, the school district saves, the taxpayers save. If you were to speak to the hole that you're filling.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting because when I look at our program in general, I think that we kind of look at it as we're really wrapping our families up in support. And I think there are so many components in terms of the wellness program that, really diving in with people and helping navigate things, because healthcare is hard and it's difficult to know what to say on the phone. And one of my biggest things is I want people to learn how to advocate for their kids, because I think it's so important, and I think that in and of itself sets them up for success going forward. Because again, if you go into kindergarten with what you need and your mom knows what to say or your dad knows what to say, and you can kind of be your biggest advocate and your biggest cheerleader, I think that in and of itself is going to help. I think that for us, just in the population that we deal with in terms of the ALICE population, we work with a lot of hardworking families who keep hitting a lot of walls. And, just having that support in terms of a case manager, somebody to help with the healthcare, getting those early intervention things in place really matters.
How much do you interact with Healthy Start? I mean, because they go up through, I think, 3 or 4 years old as well, and what they look, do they refer families to you, children to you and that type of thing?
Yeah.
We do, yeah. Healthy Start does, typically we'll get infants who have been referred for placement or for just resources. Early Steps as well is another, Early Steps we utilize a lot. So, but Healthy Start we do as well.
I have a sense that you're probably better than most other child care agencies in working with parents. In general, that's a true statement, but in working with parents. I think that you really make an effort. I see you made them once a year, but you're dealing hands-on with the kids when those problems arise, which entail communication with the families, which then gives you an opportunity to see, boy, they could benefit from healthy families, from, so those collaborations of other quality programs that can provide services clearly can make a big difference in that kid's and that family's lives. And make your world a little easier, too.
I think in general, too, it's a lot about the relationship because our families know that they can come to us. So when you were asking, the prevalence of a lot of these things, I think people know that they can come to us. So maybe in situations where we may not have known before and it may have been just a struggle they were dealing with, they know who to come to.
One of the other things with the DCF, what I have found being adult protective services, is that depending on the number employed at the time, there's always an ebb and flow of how many people they give us or they call us about, because there are some times where we're not getting any. We're going, what's wrong? There's something, And other times there's like 5 that come in a month for APS. So I'm wondering if you're experiencing the same thing, that you're getting a lot more because DCF has ramped up their employees.
I think some of that, we definitely, which sounds, but financial stressors for parents too. So typically, like at the school, I see a dip between, let's say, January and March, which kind of coincides with everybody getting their tax returns. And so things are a little easier for the parents financially. There's food in the house. I've been able to pay my rent this month. So there are some of those stressors are less. So I see a downtick usually in those months. But then we roll into the spring and summer. What are my other kids going to do this summer? Can I work? I lost my job. So I definitely see an ebb and flow regarding that.
I had one more question that crossed my mind when I read it, and I wasn't going to say anything because I don't know if it's appropriate, but I'm just going to go for it.
Sound like me.
You noted 3 children, which I guess might have been within the last year, because you're reporting on that data, lost a parent. What crossed my mind was, were these health-related? I mean, our focus is folks who need medical assistance are getting it. Were these people who fell through the cracks in the system, or they were up? There are many ways it could happen, but it crossed my mind. I wondered if we ought to be aware of it.
One was, she actually was working with a case manager, and it was less about falling through the cracks and more long-term sustained chronic health problems. Another was cancer, and another was a violent act in another county where the parent tried to intervene with another family and then unfortunately was shot. So.
Thank you.
Understand.
I think too, in terms of, we did our, all of our staff, you funded for us to do the FAIMH endorsement for our family or for our teachers. And that was so impactful because it really gives them that knowledge base and more of a greater understanding of mental health issues that our families might be dealing with, and what to look for and what to see, and really how that impacts the child and the family. So that was really something that we knew it was a good idea,
Yeah.
but it really
And we
has
were
been great.
lucky because we were the
Yes.
first school itself in the whole state of Florida who was the first child care center to have their entire staff certified, so thank you. But it allowed them to see their prior training and what they can do to really reach little ones, because a lot of times teachers themselves or people don't think about how it's affecting babies or 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds, and it's profound, it is, so.
So when are you going to be able to double the amount of kids that you take?
Hello. Hello. It's my turn. Again, thank you so much for their partnership. I think you can see our fantastic staff has really been able to utilize the funding to design programming that is really making a difference for the families in our community, and we will continue to do so. But you may have heard, because it's very hard to keep a secret in Vero Beach, but Child Care Resources has recently purchased the old Fish and Wildlife buildings in downtown Vero Beach. So we have just about 2 acres now and about 30,000 square feet to remodel. So we are raising funds and working on that. Working with the architects right now for our school building. We are trying to be able to fit 200 children in there. So I'm really pushing the architects to get to that number. And the one-story building will be where we are going to increase our wellness and early intervention services. We're hoping to figure out a way to not only be able to serve the children that are in our care, but then other children and families in the community. And we're going to work on operationally what that looks like over the summer. But we will be building out space that we will be able to dedicate towards that. We are also going to build out a large training space for our outreach programming that we work with early childhood educators. We'll be able to have our own training on our campus. We also have classes from Indian River State College at our campus, and we're hoping to be able to increase those offerings along with communities of practice and other things like that for teachers. Move all of our administrative offices together and have an incubation space for maybe a smaller nonprofit or one of our partners, and just a collaboration area for families to be able to come learn about other services in the community for families, not just ours, but really a place for families in our community, and truly a campus of early childhood education excellence here in our community. So that's what we're shooting for and we're working for. It's really exciting, but I will definitely keep you posted on our expansion plans for our wellness and early intervention program.
So you're on a main drag. But I was just saying, on State Road 60, that's a great location.
Yes,
mean,
I know, we're tucked away, hidden in the old doctor's clinic, and no one can find us
Right,
unless they went there. So the visibility of where we'll be and really being that central hub for families and teachers is really, really exciting.
Good.
How many kids do you have now?
At our school, we have 122 children.
So you're going to increase it to 200?
That's the goal.
Okay. But what's the demand? What's your wait list?
It's over 200. Yep. So lots more to come. So all the plans are being formulated. We'll keep you posted there, but very exciting time.
Come a long way from just a childcare facility, to really a wellness facility for kids, so.
Well, again, with your help, it's been able to do a lot, so thank you. Any other?
Hate to get in your business. Have you guys,
Oh, no, you don't.
have you guys, because you do such great work, have you had leverage programs that are out there, I won't say franchise, but I just, you guys can only do so much with whatever physical plant that you have. And I'm sure you've got, I'll say, product to sell and a reach into the community that would really benefit a lot of other entities that are involved in that 0 to 5. And and what that would look like.
Yeah.
A lot of training.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, a couple years ago, our board of directors asked us to create, put together a proof of concept for what we're doing. So we have a collaboration right now with the University of Florida, and we have put together 3 logic models of what we do. We're right in the middle of doing focus groups and interviews with community members, and we're pulling data from the school district. We'll finish up this phase of the project in August, and then we're going to work hopefully with the University of Florida to be our third-party evaluator to kind of go through and be able to prove that we are doing what we think we are doing. From there, we will have 3 frameworks that we'll be able to share with other communities and beyond Indian River County is our hope. And so this new campus, again, truly will be the place where people can come see and learn about our wellness and early intervention program, our child care program, and our outreach program, and how we're helping the early education workforce and share that information beyond, I hope. That's what we're working on.
Nice.
Good work. Any other questions or comments?
Well, thank you for your
Good.
time
Thank
today,
you.
and thank you for your partnership.
Thank you. Very impressive what they've done. Yes.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that.
Any unfinished business? Okay, new business, we do have Dynamic Life here. Talking about an additional funding request. Come on up, Mike.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Cianci. I'm the program manager for Dynamic Life, and I'm responsible for grants and certifications. I'm also the Certified Recovery Residence Administrator, so I get to work with our great team here. I have with me today the guys in uniform, Michael Neach Davis. I have George Pellington, and I have one of our residents here, Jay, who's going to speak to you briefly about his testimony about getting mental health counseling through Dynamic Life. So I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be here today. We got to meet in May, and at your request, we came back, and here we are with our proposal for additional funding, actually stopgap funding until there's a consideration for our application in the fall for next fiscal year. You have the report there. The mental health counseling is a cornerstone of our program. We had been funded by the Hanley Foundation, and that funding has ended kind of unexpectedly. The organization is going through a restructuring, and they told us basically this is it. And there's been no hope of any future work with them. So that led us to find out what are we going to do for this year. So I had done some contacting with Wes Salmons over at the Mental Health Collaborative. I said, what do you suggest? And he said, about ideas where we can get funding. And he said, come to the hospital district. So I said, okay, great. We became a member recently of the Mental Health Collaborative, and I recently took the mental health first aid training, which was fantastic, that they sponsor last week. So really getting involved in that. And it's a part of the whole idea of our community partnerships and providing that continuum of care for our residents. We're glad to see the programs for the young kids. If they can get that early, oh gosh, if we can nip that in the bud, that's fantastic. But we're here for the people who miss that. And so we provide not only our sober living facility, our recovery program, but our mental health counseling. You can see from the proposal, we're looking, listed there is what we are back owed from Hanley, which they are not coming forth with. And then we have continued funding from June through September. And on a fee for service basis, we calculated approximately $4,000. I don't know that it would be that much, but we, at current rates, what we're getting for counseling services, that's probably, we've negotiated $100 per hour, per session, and that's been working for us. Yeah, we worked really hard to get with Professional Counseling Services, who we use here in Vero Beach, and it just worked for them. They've got a lot of newer counselors that have come in, and they were looking to get a clientele, of course, and so it worked out that we had the opportunity to do that. We require our men to go through mental health counseling as part of the scholarship that you are graciously funding us. And we believe that that is critical, especially in that first 4 to 6 weeks that they're with us. At least they can talk about getting that monkey off their back. They can talk about whatever is bothering them. Do they continue on? Yes, most of them do. Some of them say, well, I filled the requirement, I'm done, counseling's not for me. Okay, that's fine, but at least we can get them in and maybe get some sort of assessment about what they're doing. Of course, the counselors don't share that with us, but we're hoping that's what's taking place. And then we have a number of residents who continue on, or during the course of their stay with us, will come to us and say, I'm having problems, or we'll recognize something going on. And the mental health training is really helpful for that, to recognize those issues that are coming up. So we will then send them to mental health counseling as well. So it's not just for the people required, it's for anybody during their stay who needs it. I have Jay here. Jay is one of our residents, and he was a recipient of not only the scholarship, but also the mental health counseling. So I'd like to introduce Jay.
Good afternoon. My name is Jay. I've lived at other recovery residents, and I have acquaintances that live at other recovery residents, whether it's up north, all over the East Coast. And Dynamic is very unique in that they offer mental health counseling. I think the rabbi said it best when he said, being broken and putting the pieces back together. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I know. More often than not, men in recovery come in broken, especially at Dynamic. I've seen it. I've been there I came in last March. And many men like me who I've spoken to, we have trouble expressing our feelings in meetings and stuff. So that one-on-one counseling is an avenue for us to get that out, and to start to put those pieces back together. I was fortunate enough to be in counseling when my father passed away last year. And without it, I don't know what would happen. It is crucial to my recovery program when I was doing it. It greatly benefited me, and I would hate to see that part of Dynamic, which makes it so unique, go to the wayside. I feel it's really important for men like myself to get that counseling for their brokenness, to be able to pick up the pieces and be whole again. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
It's very brave of you to get up and do that. Thank you.
So I'll take any questions, or I know we've talked about it before, but if you have any questions for us about the report, I'll be more than happy to take them.
Mike, a question.
Sure.
Sorry.
Mike, a question. Tell me about the conversations with Hanley Foundation. Who are you speaking with? Not returning calls, or what's?
Yes, our two contacts there are Turner Benoit, who is the director for outreach there. Turner Benoit, and he's the main guy that handles what we do. And of course, they have other people that we work with, but he's the main person that we've worked with in the past. And they just said they've run out of funding, and they don't have any more funding for us. They're philanthropic, of course, and so they're looking for money to fund their programs so they can fund programs like we have. And so that's the communications that we've had from him. Sometimes we put in invoices and then we don't hear from them, and then all of a sudden you'll get a check for $1,200. And it's like, okay, what about the other counseling people? And what do we do? And as a small nonprofit with limited funds, it's hard for us to do that. We do that through fundraising and donors who've helped us said, look, we'll fill the gap in until they can send a check. But Turner Benoit is the head guy who we've had those
And you've
communications
got
with.
documentation of what they promised you?
No, we didn't have a formal agreement with them.
Okay.
This was done verbally with our previous owner of Dynamic Life Property, which was Denny Nystrom. And Denny Nystrom, I know Mary Beth knows, he worked with Turner, they're good friends, and he said, look, we've got this program, and he just said, yep, go ahead, we understand
They
what.
would send you people and you would counsel and they were supposed to pay you for it? Or
So,
they
no.
No,
Our
they
people that
they
came to
just
us.
gave. Okay, they
When
just
they,
gave.
when they came to us, it was all fee for service. So they provided a budget that they had. And then as people came to us and were part of our program, we send them to counseling. We get the invoice, we pay it, and then we invoice Hanley for fee for service. So there was no, to answer your question, Carrie, there was no written agreement that says this is what we're going to do. Unlike when we partnership with you, we get the MOU, we sign it, we understand what we're going to do. That was all verbal between the two parties.
Okay. Frank, I'd like to discuss sending a letter to Hanley. I don't care if it's verbal or not. It's the right thing to do what somebody at your organization said you do.
A commitment.
And I think I'm trying to find out if the contact that I have down there is in the position that I think she's in, because that's who the letter would go to.
So you're thinking of sending a letter from us to?
I'm happy to do
Or
it on
from-
my own.
yeah,
I'm happy
we
to
can
do
do
it.
it too. I mean, if you want it to come from
Yeah,
us.
I just was wondering what the content would, like, what are you thinking of?
I want them to be aware of this commitment that was made verbally, and because they are choosing not to honor a commitment to an organization that's having the impact on lives that it is, just.
It's known,
And
and
it's
that-
known, and that the taxpayers are actually picking up
Correct.
in a matter of speaking for some, that's fine with me. I just wanted to make sure
Yep.
I knew
Yeah.
what the
And
content
if we
We
can
can
help.
connect offline.
coming from all of us.
Yeah, if we can help in any way with that information or whatever you
Yep.
want to do, we'll be more than happy to help you.
Is it 21,800 in total that you're,
that's what I would add it up to.
yeah?
Yes, Michael, is that?
It's the five
It's the
5,800
right, and
unpaid
then plus the
expenses
right,
and
plus the
16,000
correct,
projected. Okay, fee
correct.
for service,
I
okay.
just,
But it
I
is
didn't have
all
my
fee
paper
for
in front of me, so.
Well, the first amount,
Right,
is
it's
just,
back order.
it's back order, so we would be paying that. The 16,000 would be fee for service.
Correct, and then going forward, fee
Okay,
for service.
thank you.
Budget side, on average, sometimes we have 4 or 5 guys in counseling at a time. We generally work with the counselors for them to determine the frequency, so sometimes there's a trauma and they might go every week. For the most part, it's every 2 weeks.
Is this circumstance cooked into your current grant request?
Yes. When you guys had made the motion for us to amend that at the last meeting, and so we did send that in to you guys. So this is in addition to, for next year's funding.
So can I hear a motion?
So moved. Second. I move that we fund the request of 21,800 as requested.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. We appreciate this stopgap funding for us, and we appreciate your due diligence in what we're doing here. So thank you very much for your support.
It's important, and again, thank you, Jay, for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, the resolution.
Okay, so we have Resolution 2024-02 in front of you, and this is just pertaining to giving authority to your board chair to execute a lease for the Human Services Building to be leased with an option to purchase between the district and VCOM. We are still in negotiations on the lease itself, so I don't know if we want to wait on this.
It's not really to execute.
Right,
It's really just to continue the,
Right, so I could revise the language, subject to discussion tonight, was kind of my
what I
thought.
was
Yeah, I was feeling this was a little premature without the terms. We're just
Why
starting
I
to.
asked today if we were
Right.
going to amend it.
I agree, and when I drafted this with the lease, I had a different thought, so I think we need to amend it a little bit.
We maybe rephrase it that we're in agreement that we want to pursue the lease at this stage, just so that we have a resolution on the books confirming the direction we're taking.
Okay, so I think it's this,
That's the right way to put it, because we do not have a lease to execute at this point.
right, so we don't desire at this present time to enter into a lease agreement. We desire to enter into negotiations to finalize a lease agreement. I don't know how you want to phrase
Yeah, I
it.
think that, just something expresses that our intention is to
Our intention is
engage
to
in
end up with a
negotiations
lease.
for purpose of a lease that would include, possibly include
And
an option.
what's going through my mind is Dr. Cooney isn't here, unless he zoomed in. I don't know if we're even doing that. And I know that we kind of went out of our way yesterday to say to him, we're not, even in yesterday's discussion at the chairman's meeting, we're moving forward, but we weren't getting into this yet, what this suggests.
Yeah, what this suggests to me is that we have a lease we've
Yeah,
all agreed
yeah.
on, and
Yeah,
we're just
it
going to
doesn't
sign it.
exist.
And that is not where we're at this point.
Okay. I think we're of a like mind.
So do you want to table the resolution?
I would table it for now, and then let's see where we go in the next month.
I
okay?
agree.
That's how I would do it. Okay, so we don't have that. Any other business?
Yes. Mary Beth, I had attempted to add an agenda item. I had emailed it to Frank, and I've done that in the past. I didn't realize I needed to send it to Kate instead. I'll do that in the future, so it was omitted. It's a topic that I brought up, I think, back in March. We didn't act on it. I have a draft of a motion, and the intention, I did the memorandum regarding what I believe is our responsibility and obligation under the lease to audit the indigent care program that's provided through Cleveland Clinic pursuant to the lease. As you may be aware, the lease has two rental components right now. During the first 10 years, one is provision of indigent care, statutory level. The other is the provision of capital improvements. And then we shift into a more traditional lease relationship as it relates to rental payments. The intention of this is really twofold. One is, I think there's an opportunity through their provision of indigent care for us to collect information that may prove useful in our strategy planning. Additionally, I think in the interest of the taxpayers, just making sure that we're exercising our oversight under the lease. I view it as analogous to a grant, in terms of our responsibility. This is an extension of what we do. We're statutorily responsible for providing the indigent care. We have a lease where we've made that a responsibility through the lease by Cleveland Clinic, and that we're remiss if we do not exercise oversight. So the motion is, I move that the Indian River County Hospital District audit the indigent care program being performed by Cleveland Clinic pursuant to its contractual duties set forth in the current lease agreement, examining, number one, the application and approval process for indigent care patients, examining the length of time for a decision to be made, the number of approvals and denials, the nature and effectiveness of any appeal process. Number two, evaluation of outcomes and readmissions for indigent care patients. Number three, assessment of the current need and anticipated growth in need. Number four, a collection and understanding of data relating to acute care patients versus chronic patients, ER visits compared to admissions. Number five, demographics/composition of indigent care patients, such as homelessness, age, family status, incomes. That's my motion.
So do I hear a second?
I'll second it so we can have discussion.
Okay.
Not to mean that I support
I understand. Okay.
it. Jennifer, can you help me understand the oversight language that Paul is using? Is that in the lease? Is that term used? What is our responsibility.
Sorry, I'm looking for my copy of this and I don't see it.
Well, I mean, if I can, in March, I presented the members of the trustees a board on, a memo on that topic together with this, and it's not in the lease. Unfortunately, the lease is completely silent regarding any oversight responsibilities. Where the oversight responsibility exists is our statutory obligation to the taxpayers in providing certain things, and the question is, are we going to, as an extension of our responsibility, provide indigent care that we've delegated through the lease to Cleveland Clinic, exercise this function? That's the question.
So, two things relative to what they need to give us is, on a yearly basis, they need to give us the data relative to the number of patients that they've seen that are indigent. And in their report, they give it to us broken down by year, they give it by ER admissions. They have a lot of data in there. The other thing that they are required to do, and I believe that's in the lease, is that they are required to inform us should their process for indigent care approvals and all that change, or levels of what they take care of now and that kind of thing. In other words, what we agreed to at the time of the lease, if that process, or right now I believe it's 250% of the poverty level, if that should go up or should go down, they need to come to us first and be able to say that. I'm not sure. They give us more information relative to that than we get from TCCH or Whole Family, who also deal with indigent care in that respect. So I'm not sure what this
Worst that
would
can
do.
happen is they say no. We can ask and they can say no, or give us a variation, or we can choose to not do this.
Frank, you've lived in this world and have a better understanding than I do, for sure. Is this data do they have defined written policies? I mean, how do they define their policies and process for bringing them in? And then you get toward the end, which is really demographics, that are they homeless? You know, I mean, is that data that they have just in the course of doing business? And is this all accessible?
I can't speak, I don't know enough about Cleveland to know whether or not all the data is going to be there or not. I can tell you that hospitals collect massive amounts of data. They are, for data mining, their own analysis, there's a lot of sophistication built into how a hospital, all their operations run, the policies around the data collection, how it's processed, how it's analyzed, all that. So do I think they have the data? I expect that they would. But there's one other component that I want to mention to this, is that, and this has to be a consideration for us going forward. Now, the team at the district, just like the trustees, works very hard to make sure that we work towards accomplishing our mission for the betterment of everyone in this county. However, there will come a time, and I think we're getting close, where the amount of work that's going to go into, because right now, Dawn just finished an audit on partners. To do an audit on indigent care is going to push ahead the audit schedule. There's a certain amount of manpower limitations we have practically with one person, as smart and hardworking as she is. So we would either have to probably outsource this at this point. Okay, so we could do that. Or we could hire someone. So there's a solution to it, but I just wanted to point that out.
And maybe I did not use the right word in saying audit, because that's largely a request for information is
Indeed.
what I've delineated. So,
Paul, what is the objective to doing all of this? Where are we going with it? What is it? What is the end result? So
is to find out.
What you're looking for.
Well, first of all, that there are no issues with regard to the application review appeal process, if there is one, the information that we may have regarding who is using emergency room services instead of primary care, what's going on with regard to the demographic makeup. There may be something in there that we learn when we find out, you know, the composition of the homelessness. So there's,
With Cleveland, then we're going to have to do it also, because we can't pick on one. We would also have to do it with TCCH, Whole Families, anyone that is doing this type of
well, the difference is this. The difference is this. We audit them on those topics. We do not, in any way, shape, or form, audit Cleveland Clinic on this topic, as I understand it.
I
And so-
do not audit on indigent care per se,
I
right?
don't look at I don't
No.
look at patient records.
We audit the Partners Program,
We audit what we pay for.
exactly. And I would submit that we pay for indigent care because it's an element of our lease. In the sense, we're not writing a check, but here are the keys to the hospital in exchange for
Paul, are
the
you
rental
saying
value.
that they're not giving indigent care?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I think it's incumbent on us to assess the quality of the performance in this regard. That's just my view.
I'd like to know more from our council about the statutory regulations. I'm naive in this area, so I'd like to understand that better. And I'd like to see what Cleveland provides us, because I'm sorry, I don't remember what they provide us on an annual basis. So I'd like to see what that is first.
Carrie, that's fine. Carrie, did you get, in March, you would have gotten a memo from me. If not, I'll have it redistributed. But in order to say the benefit of my thoughts and why I'm suggesting what I'm suggesting. But there was a memo.
I remember the
And
memo.
I understand that you want to hear it from our council. I don't want to be the lawyer for the district. I'm
Right.
not seeking to do that. But I am just reminding you that where my mind is on this topic has been expressed previously in March with the memorandum that I.
So could I get a copy of, could we all have a copy of the memo as well? Do you, Frank, do you have a copy of the March?
It was part of the packet in March.
Yeah.
Really? I'm not going to have.
I can re-email it to him,
Kate
so it can be a
can send
separate
it out.
document.
Yeah.
So if we can get that, if we can get the indigent care information that they do provide for us in their
Okay, yeah.
packet, as well as what their current process is, I know that they have that document.
Well, and I asked, and when Dr. Peter came to answer questions, and I submitted my questions in May, some of these were akin to this. I got a bundle of papers, maybe 15 pages, or give or take, that was Cleveland Clinic's indigent care program. So it was something that was written in such a way that all of their Ohio facilities, all of ours, it was a generic, here's our paperwork that we use as to their process. This is seeking more information that's specific to what we're experiencing here, is my intention.
I just want to get some clarity on what it is you guys specifically want me to confirm. So I think it's that we want to hear what the statutory authority is of the district to oversee CCIR performing indigent care at the hospital facility owned by the district and operated by their entity.
Correct.
Okay, just making sure that's the specific issue. Got it.
And with that, and deference to the group, I think it's probably appropriate for this to be tabled for further consideration.
Legalese.
Yeah, I think we need to talk, we'll table that for now, and get this information out as to what we have, so that everybody knows what we already have and the information we've got and what our responsibilities are.
So we've got a motion on the table.
He just tabled.
You did, okay.
But no, somebody's going to need to make the motion to table it. I'm
I was
just
going to say, so we have a
helping you
motion, a
guys with
second
the roadmap.
discussion. You have a motion to table.
I make the motion to table.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion tabled.
Okay. Any other business at this point? Public comment? I don't even know if anybody's on.
There's quite a few people on.
Okay, nothing, but nobody's raising their hand or anything? Okay. We can't see that, so. Okay, then we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.